Welcome to Three Blind Mike's podcast, sponsored by the Family Proud, Family Strong Network. Follow their journey as John J., the real hot rod, Cletrodamus, and Portis the Assassin deliver the bottom line on the greatest pop culture entertainment debates of then and now. The Three Blind Mikes won't know the topic of the show until the show begins, which surely will lead to an unscripted and uncensored good time. Now, let's go in blind on the road to nowhere.
Underrated Christmas movies, which JFK is not.
Well, it's definitely not a Christmas
I'm trying
movie.
to think of what one of my favorite. Well, in terms of It's a Wonderful Life, 3/4 of the movie have nothing to do with Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And I think
That
Three-fourths
is
of the
true.
movie is the life story of George Bailey leading up to this moment where he's considering taking his life on Christmas Eve, when he's so despondent, when he's lost all hope, when he's lost all faith. It shows you, and what I think the power of that film, the timeless power of this, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Hot Rod, too, is, we're all fathers, but it shows someone who's gone all out his whole life trying to do things the right way, to love thy neighbor, to be that selfless ambassador of Christ, that he's trying to do that in a secular world, and he's lost all hope. And I think that's the power of that. It's that universal message that never give up, and one man can make a great difference, and a man who has friends really is not alone.
Well, you know what? What really gets me every year, because we watch that every year.
Yeah.
What really gets me is, when he, towards the end there, where he realizes that he's alive.
Yeah.
He's no longer with what's the
my lips bleed. My lips bleed.
Yeah.
My lips
and
bleed.
just the joy
Yeah.
of him realizing that he is alive, and he runs home because he has this beautiful family
exactly
that God gave him.
Yeah, absolutely. Even when he thinks he's going to jail, isn't it wonderful? I'm going to jail.
That was just about what I was going to say, is that all the realities that he was running away from, he comes back to and goes, hey, it's not so bad. I'm going to jail. And there's an issue of $5,000. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. And it's that moment. I think that's that moment of clarity and perspective that we all need, because we all get there. People, anyone I think listening to our podcast you will have those tough days, those days where they doubt themselves, where they question the meaning of it all. And that film, that realization that his fate, he still, whatever he's going through, he still has his family, he still has his friends, he still has this great life. Regardless of all the stress, trauma, and tribulation, that at the end of the day, there's something to keep living for. And it's a universal message that is no more powerful than any day of the year than on Christmas, specifically Christmas Eve.
The irony of that movie is that, one, they shot it in the summer.
Yeah.
And it was so hot that filming that people were like passing out. They couldn't even film.
Yeah.
The other irony, they didn't release it around the holidays. They released it in the summer. So they didn't fall into that trap of releasing it around the holidays to kind of make a buck and it already like grabbing onto the commercialization of it. And that's one of the reasons why the film failed, because it was really about a great story. They were selling the story, not
well, without question. You're absolutely right, Portis. It's infamous for its time for being a box office bomb. Now, it was nominated for numerous Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director for Frank Capra, and of course Best Actor for the incomparable Jimmy Stewart. But as Portis is saying, Hot Rod, this thing was a kind of a fiasco at its time. It was the first starring role back for Jimmy Stewart, who had been gone from American cinemas for 5 years, serving his country in World War II. So, nobody knew. It was really kind of a shot in the dark. I mean, and everyone fought for the first 10, 15, even 20 years after the release of that film, that this was just a bomb. It wasn't a turkey,
It was
but it was just
horrible. Like, he didn't believe in himself as an actor. He wasn't sure he could even do the work. And he's brilliant. He's
Jimmy
absolutely
Stewart?
brilliant.
Yeah.
Probably
And guys, and here's the thing about it. The studio doesn't believe in this movie. After this movie bombs, the studio doesn't even protect its copyright. So what happens is the only reason the rest of the world in our generation, our parents' generation, found out about it is that a lot of local stations across the United States, a lot of PBS stations like that were looking for Christmas programming, particularly Christmas programming that was free, they wouldn't have to pay an arm and a leg for. They found it because it was out there in public domain because the copyright had expired. So they start, showing it on Christmas Eve around, Christmas Eve every year. And it gains this cult following where eventually by the 1970s, almost 30 years after its release, it becomes this holiday tradition where millions and millions of families are watching it together on Christmas Eve. And so it's really remarkable how it's gone from, being a box office fiasco to becoming the most revered and admired Christmas film of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite holiday movie. I love it. It bothers me that people don't really love it as much today. Like, they don't have marathons anymore. Like, where I remember when we were kids, they would play it like all day.
Yeah,
they would play it. And then they play and then they colorized it, which I didn't like, but they colorized it, and then
horrible.
Yeah, but they would play it all day.
Yeah. 24-hour marathons, like a Christmas Story.
So they made sure that everybody was able to watch it, whatever time zone you were in.
Yeah,
because it was free. They didn't have to pay for it. They're like, hey, we'll play it again.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And, like you were saying, Portis, it doesn't get the credit it deserves today because there's so much other saturation of other things that, that have really have nothing to do with Christmas, but they pretend that it is with different shows, different movies, or whatever like that. When you watch It's a Wonderful Life, it's a wholesome, organic movie that it's for any age.
Without question, universal message.
But what it does, but it it gets out competed by all this other, the real secular section of the world with all these different genres of quote unquote Christmas movies or Christmas TV shows, and it kind of pisses me off.
Which brings us back to our earlier point: evil SOBs like Damus are putting out this idea that a movie about mass killing is a Christmas film.
No, it's a movie about preventing mass killing, about saving your fellow man and woman.
I
retract. Christmas Eve, getting home to your family. Nothing is more Christmas than that.
Yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay, my brother. I mean, come on, man.
But just be sure to step around that blood, because that's evidence.
Yeah. Hey, Lethal Weapon that was a Christmas movie.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon is a Christmas movie. Some of the greatest action films of all time.
One of my favorites is also Bells of St. Mary.
Take place on Christmas. Bells of St. Mary's.
Bells of St. Mary. Ingrid Bergman, she's great, and somehow they got Bing Crosby to sober up and do that movie. Good.
Oh my God.
The Three Blind Mics is sponsored by the Family Proud, Family Strong Network via YouTube and powered by the Digital Media Production.